So Masvidal has called out Leon Edwards. Okay, right. Well, welcome to 3 years ago. I'm well aware of the three-piece Minnesota, but guys, that seemed to go away. And before you think that Masvidal is trying to sneak in and get himself a title fight, he's got this business with Leon, and now Leon's playing. Leon's going to beat Kamar, and here's Masvidal sitting here talking this trash and ready for him. Masvidal actually predicted that Leon's going to lose. Masvidal said, I want to fight Leon. By the way, I think he's going to be coming off a loss. That's fine. I'll fight him anyway. Well, that changes things. I just want to know what you guys think of that. Nobody has ever positioned themselves to fight the loser of a contest. And we have seen a million times it'd be very smart for Masvidal to align himself with Leon. Leon gets the belt, and all of a sudden Masvidal's back in there. No matter how unlikely that you think that Masvidal may be chosen, we've seen guys attempt to do this. I'm just sharing for you, that's not what Masvidal did. He wants to fight Leon. Now, Leon should be wanting to fight George, right? The whole three-piece Minnesota, that whole story comes back. Leon should have been given that fight. The UFC could not make that fight. They could not do it, not right away. And everybody thought they were going to. Oh, look at this in the backstage in three-piece Minnesota, and we're selling T-shirts, and we've got this whole organic, natural beef between two fighters. How compelling. I don't disagree. The UFC cannot make a fight that is predicated on something that should not have happened. They should have fought in the cage. That was a crime, what we saw. Now, we all decided to be lighthearted and nobody got hurt and we washed our hands. That was a crime that we saw. And the UFC was put in a position they cannot reward that kind of behavior. Imagine the message that would have happened had they made that fight. Everybody that wanted to fight would have somebody with an iPhone go record as they went and got into some guerrilla activity. It would have been a disaster. I don't think that the fighters understood it at the time. I know that the pundits didn't understand it. They were predicting that was going to happen. It can't happen. And people have tried to use this against me and Chael. That's not true. Look at Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier and what they got into. How about Conor McGregor in the bus with the Khabib? No, you're missing the timeline. That stuff is very fair game once the fight is already signed. The lead up and to tell the story accurately, as ugly as it might be, that's very different than using something to get the bout agreement. That timeline is what matters. That timeline is what's off. Now, it doesn't mean that you're precluded from ever doing it. You just can't do it then. You can't do it in that moment. Let me share a story with you guys. I had a fight earlier, young in my career. It was at an organization called Hitman, and it was out in California. I fought Babalu. So when this fight happened, Babalu and I don't know anything. We got a call from a promoter. We got an airplane. We weigh in, we shake hands, off we go. It turned out that event was against the laws of the state of California. They could not do it. They did not have permission. And I had fought in Hitman other times in California. It was all cool again. I had even done a fight in Hitman. My first fight, I fought Mayhem Miller, and Dana White was there. He was there in attendance. I'm thinking everything's fine. Well, I'm young and I don't understand the differences. And that first fight that I alluded to where Dana was there was done on a reservation where they had different jurisdictions. This second fight that I go and do is done on public land. So the way Hitman was able to pull this off is they lied to the Attorney General and said, whoa, no, we're not doing an MMA show. This is a movie. We're filming scenes for a movie. You've got it all wrong. So the Attorney General comes in and goes, okay, well, if that's true, then you have the script and you know how this is going to go. Tell us now. Tell us in advance who's going to win since it's just a script, and the promoter did. So the promoter wrote all these different matches down and who was going to win. We had a guy on the card get knocked out. The guy who was knocked out won. They raised this, and the crowd's booing. They don't know what's going on, but I'm only sharing with you, we didn't know as athletes. We had no idea. Babalu and I did not know that we were doing anything that would bother anybody. And when this whole thing was done, Dana White was so disgusted. He said, anybody that fought on that card will never fight in the UFC. We were crushed. We were just, oh my goodness. How did we end up in this spot? What is it that we did? I mean, we really felt like we were these innocent guys. Now, fast forward a whole bunch of years. That becomes a distant memory. Not only do Babalu and I get to fight in the UFC, we fight each other. The very promotion of which had a very match that was completely banned for life, we fought each other in the UFC. So I'm only sharing with you that time does heal wounds. Time does change things. I think Masvidal's perspective is very interesting. To call out Leon, and he believes Leon's going to lose. I like it myself. I just like the whole phenomenon. Athletes within our sport complain that we have a reality, which is you're only as good as your last fight. That's true, but it's only true because we allow it to be true. Nate Diaz is going to main event one of the biggest fights of the summer. He did not win his last fight. Whatever Jorge Masvidal does next is going to be massive. He did not win his last fight. Conor McGregor's return is more anticipated than any return in our sport. He didn't win his last fight. It's all a matter of how these guys want to handle it. You only go to the end of the line if you come out and say, I now belong in the end of the line. I've seen guys lose fights and come out and tell the media, well, I don't have the right to call anybody out because I just lost. Well, that's true if you make it true. Masvidal calls guys out at all times. Masvidal's not even cared if a guy wins or loses. I just want to explain the difference. I mean, there's a lesson in here somewhere. I also don't know what's going on with Masvidal. It appears to me that Masvidal and Colby aren't going to get booked until whatever Masvidal and Colby have going on gets resolved. There's no proof of that. That isn't the statement that's been made, but I do think there's evidence of that. The fact that they're two huge stars, the fact that that division is getting on with it, the fact that they are meaningful characters within the sport and within that division, they're not even being discussed. I think there's evidence that I'm right.